Now, as we're waiting for hard capture to complete, you're looking at a view on the left-hand side that is mission control here in Hawthorne, as well as on your right-hand screen, mission control Houston at Johnson's Space Center. The teams are still working in tandem together while the crew is still on board Dragon, but once that hatch is open and the crew can make their way onto the International Space Station, Johnson will take it from there.
Station Houston on the Big Loop. MCS configured. We are proceeding with hook driving.
Station copies.
Great news. That means that the hard capture sequence is now beginning. This takes just a few minutes, about 4 minutes, to complete that hard capture. It'll be 6 hooks at a time for 12 hooks total to complete that hard docking.
And we don't currently have views of Dragon and the International Space Station at this moment due to a handover between satellites, which happens from time to time and is expected. But on the left hand of your screen there, you do see Mission Control here in Hawthorne, California, as well as on the right hand of your screen, Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We still are in integrated operations where we have the Big Loop configured. That Big Loop is between both Mission Control centers in Hawthorne and Houston, as well as the crew on the International Space Station and the crew inside of Freedom, who just docked to the International Space Station about 8 minutes ago at 12:15 p.m. Pacific. Hooks are continuing to drive and work through the procedures for that hard mate between Dragon, Freedom, and the International Space Station. With Freedom now docked to the International Space Station, there are 7 visiting spacecraft on board. That includes NASA's SpaceX 33rd Cargo Resupply Mission, JAXA, Japan Aerospace Agency's HTV X-1, Northrop Grumman's Cygnus 23 spacecraft, the Roscosmos Soyuz MS-28, as well as 2 Roscosmos cargo spacecraft, Progress 92 and Progress 93.
And as Sandra mentioned, we don't have any live views at this moment, so we are just waiting for confirmation of the hard capture, that is the 12 hooks latching on to the International Space Station. We should just have a couple minutes left in that sequence. We'll wait for that call out for that confirmation.
And once Crew-12 gets on board the International Space Station, they will complete some training as part of emergency procedures and get acquainted with their new home for the next 8 months. The key point of their mission is to conduct a variety of science experiments to help advance research and technology for future Moon and Mars missions and to benefit humanity back on Earth. Some of this research includes a study on pneumonia-causing bacteria that could help improve treatments here on Earth, as well as on-demand IV fluid generation for future space missions. They're also going to be working on an automated plant health monitoring investigation, as well as investigations of plant and nitrogen-fixing microbe interactions, which could help enhance food production in space, as well as here on the ground. As we think about long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars, growing our own food is going to be critical, as it may not always be possible to send cargo space flights up. So this investigation could lead to improved plant growth on board the International Space Station and then eventually onto the Moon and Mars. The first set of hooks is now closed, and the second set is traveling.
SpaceX on the big loop, hard capture complete. And at this time, you are go to step into suit doffing.
At Gentle Contact, we have bridged the legacy of humankind's continuous presence in space, spanning more than 25 years at this very site. The International Space Station is more than a structure. It is a promise kept, decades in the making, built by nations, sustained by trust and partnership, empowered by science, innovation, and curiosity. As we look back at Earth from these windows, we are reminded that cooperation is not just possible, it is essential. Up here, there are no borders, and hope is universal.
I want to thank the teams at NASA, SpaceX, ESA, CSA, JAXA, and Roscosmos. Your work has guided us safely here across the vastness of space to this outpost where all of humanity lives and learns together. Crew-12 is honored to join our Expedition 74 friends and colleagues, Sergei Kucherchkov, Sergei Mikhaev, and Chris Williams, to add our chapter to the story of the International Space Station.
Maintenant, un mot pour les Français. Bonjour les Français depuis la capsule Dragon SpaceX avec l'équipage Crew-12. Un grand merci à toutes les équipes de SpaceX, de la NASA, de l'ESA, du CNES, de Roscosmos, de la CSA et JAXA qui contribuent directement au succès de cette mission. Nous venons nous amarrer à la Station spatiale internationale après 34 heures de vol libre. Tout se passe de manière nominale et la Terre est vraiment, vraiment belle depuis là-haut. Merci à vous de votre soutien et de votre enthousiasme. Ça nous fait chaud au cœur. Je suis fière d'embarquer la France et l'Europe dans cette incroyable aventure qui dépasse les frontières. Comptez sur moi pour en partager toutes les étapes avec vous et faire briller les étoiles dans les yeux des Français. Prenez soin de vous et à bientôt. Over to Andrew.
Отличная работа, ребята. Всем большое спасибо.
Grateful to be on board, and we're ready to get to work.
And those were some words from our Crew-12 crew that arrived to the International Space Station at 12 p.m. Pacific this afternoon. We did get confirmation as well that all of the hooks...
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Good words there. We're going to continue monitoring the docking sequence, and I'll maintain awareness with you. You are go to doff suits per 4.012 and begin cabin configurations in 4.400 in parallel. For awareness, we will have big loop comms only until 2038. So again, we're big loop comms only. And at this time, I can report docking complete.
Copy, dock is complete and big loop comms only.
Great news. Docking is officially complete. Now that Dragon has completed its docking sequence, the spacecraft must undergo a handful of checks before the hatch is opened. The crew on board Dragon will now get a chance to get out of their suits and get comfortable before moving into hatch operations.
That's right, and things will be picking up inside the space station too as NASA's Chris Williams gets the hatch on the station side ready to be opened and starts pressurizing that area known as the vestibule between the Dragon and station hatches. With Dragon docked, that's going to do it for us here in Hawthorne, but our coverage for Crew-12 won't stop here.
In a minute, we're going to toss it over to Leah in Mission Control Houston to take us through the vestibule depressurization and hatch opening, when we'll see NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Jack Hathaway, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adano, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev float into the International Space Station. But first, let's have a quick recap here. They got suited up and took a very short ride to the launch pad, ingressed on Dragon, and then yesterday, February 13th at 2:15 a.m. Pacific time, 5:15 a.m. Eastern, the 9 Merlin 1D engines ignited and Falcon 9 lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, beginning Crew-12's journey to the International Space Station. Our Stage 1 vehicle came back down to Earth and landed at our newest recovery site, Landing Zone 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Base. Dragon then separated from Falcon 9's second stage, allowing Dragon to fly free with Crew-12 on board. We had a good nose cone deploy, as well as completed 5 major burns on Dragon, and then docking was confirmed today at 12:15 p.m. Pacific, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time today, February 14th, 2026.
And you can follow at SpaceX on X and NASA on social media for real-time updates. Thanks again for watching. Go NASA, go SpaceX, and go Crew-12. And for those of you watching on X, please head over to NASA Plus to follow the coverage live.
Thanks for being with us today, Sandra. It was great to have you. And thank you to everybody for tuning in.
Now over to Leah Cheshire at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston to continue sharing the mission as the crew prepares to board their home for the next several months, the International Space Station. And thank you once more. And for those celebrating Valentine's Day today, we truly hope your day is out of this world.
Happy Valentine's Day indeed here in Mission Control, Houston. Again, it was an exciting moment for all of us here in Mission Control Houston following Dragon's docking at 2:15 p.m. Central Time while flying 277 statute miles south of South Africa. With Dragon safely docked to the International Space Station, we're going to be welcoming that new crew of 4 crew members aboard shortly to conduct important science and research aboard the orbiting laboratory. As we've been discussing, NASA astronaut Chris Williams is prime on the space station side for these upcoming and ongoing operations. He's securing some hardware and then moving right into those hatch preparation operations. First thing he will do is open the large hatch at the Node 2 Zenith. That's where the Dragon spacecraft docked today and where they will remain until they get ready to go home several months from now. That Zenith port is the space-facing port on the International Space Station, and opening that hatch will give Williams access inside the pressurized mating adapter. The team will work to pressurize the vestibule. That's the small area between the Dragon and the space station hatch. It is now no longer exposed to the vacuum of space, but it needs to be filled with air and make its pressure nearly equal to what is aboard the station and Dragon. So Chris Williams is going to use a small valve on the station's hatch and slowly introduce air into that tiny space, the vestibule. The flight controllers here at Mission Control Houston are monitoring these operations as well as that pressure and the temperature readings inside. We're going to pause for a leak check once they have filled that space with air and then get ready to open up the hatches. This is a process that takes a little bit of time. We expect it to take about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get everything pressurized and checked out before we open those hatches, and we're targeting 4 p.m. Central Time for that. We will be live here the entire time and can't wait to see that crew float through the hatch. Once we open the hatch, the crew will configure Dragon for their on-orbit operations, and they will complete the space station safety briefing. This is the first order of business for a crew when they arrive on the space station, and they will be participating in that with the 3 crew members who have been living and working aboard the orbiting laboratory. Just before that safety briefing, though, we will get to hear from the crew themselves in their welcome ceremony. And shortly after the safety briefing, the USOS crew members will transfer some emergency equipment from Dragon to the space station. They'll also participate in a little bit of a crew handover period. We usually have another commercial crew aboard the International Space Station when we have a new crew dock. Crew 11 returned a little bit earlier than planned last month, so they have completed a lot of their handover here on the ground, and this will allow the crew that's living aboard the space station to get the new crew members up to speed with what's been happening. We'll get into the evening on the space station at that point, and that'll be the crew's pre-sleep and sleep period. Again, the International Space Station operates in GMT, And so it is currently 8:46 p.m. if you are living and working on the space station. Again, we're going to continue to provide live coverage of the remainder of the process through hatch opening and the welcoming ceremony from here in Mission Control Houston. In this view on your screen, NASA astronaut Chris Williams. He is the only NASA astronaut currently aboard the International Space Station, but that is about to change as he will welcome his crewmates Jessica Meir and Jack Hathaway. The other two crew members currently living on the International Space Station that arrived on Soyuz MS-28 with Williams are Sergei Kudzverchkov and Sergei Mikhaev. And again, our Crew-12 crew joining us today, NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Jack Hathaway, ESA astronaut Sophie Adano, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev. The Crew-12 crew joining today are going to be part of Expedition 74 on the International Space Station. That began on December 8th, 2025. It'll continue through the departure of the Soyuz MS-28 crew later this year. And as we have discussed previously in this broadcast, we are celebrating 25 years of human presence aboard the International Space Station, meaning if you are under 25 years old, there has never been a day in your life that all humans have been on the Earth. We've always had somebody living in space. NASA astronaut Chris Williams there in the center of your screen has started the vestibule pressurization process. We are in a handover period aboard the International Space Station. We hand over our satellites from in the tracking and data relay satellite system. So these are all monitored and expected handover periods. We'll regain communications with the International Space Station very shortly.
Time was 2040.
Houston copies 2040 and
we have regained those video communications with the space station. Again, this view looking into the Node 2 zenith or space-facing hatch and port. That is where Crew-12 docked in the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft at 2:15 p.m. Central Time. NASA astronaut Chris Williams did begin the vestibule pressurization process. Again, the vestibule is that small space between both the space station hatch and the Dragon hatch. And that area was previously exposed to the vacuum of space, so we have to introduce air from the space station side to make it equal to both of those atmospheres. Throughout this time frame, the teams in Mission Control Houston have they pause for leak checks in this vestibule. Sometimes those can fluctuate based on temperature, or it can appear to fluctuate based on temperature. So these help us ensure that the atmosphere is leveled out once we have begun pressurizing that area. Just a moment ago, we saw a glimpse of Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kudzverchkov, one of the two cosmonauts and one of the two Sergeys living aboard the International Space Station, the other being Sergei Mikhaev. He is standing by also to welcome the new crew members aboard the space station.
SpaceX Dragon, come check on Dragon to ground.
SpaceX has you loud and clear on Dragon to ground. Just wanted to offer the PMC if required.
So suggestion is to set up the PMC, but for now, procedure in work. No questions yet, but please prepare.
SpaceX copies. I'm going to go ahead and set up Dragon to ground private. Any comms that come from the cabin mic will be on Dragon to ground private, and so we'll just have that ready to go and be standing by for any questions.
Dragon copy.
That voice coming from inside Dragon is ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenau. She is a French astronaut. This is her first flight to the International Space Station. She is calling down to the core, the Crew Operations and Resource Engineer in Hawthorne, California. That is at SpaceX there, and that's who the crew aboard Dragon communicates while they are in that spacecraft. We have a similar role here called Capcom, the capsule communicator, but that is the person communicating with the International Space Station crew members. You heard Adenau mention a PMC. That's a private medical conference. We typically schedule these for the crew throughout their mission, and the crew also has the opportunity to request one at any time.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for awareness. ISS power connection established.
Экипаж МКС, ЦУПу Москвы в Канаде.
Again, if you're just joining us, we are live here in Mission Control Houston at Johnson Space Center, where we have been monitoring the arrival and docking of the Crew-12 mission to the International Space Station. Dragon docked to the Node 2 Zenith, or space-facing port, at 2:15 p.m. Central Time today, February 14th. NASA astronaut Chris Williams is pressurizing the vestibule. He is the prime on the station side for these hatch opening operations. This pressurization process takes a little while, can take up to 2 hours before we see that hatch open from the Dragon side and see our new crew members fly through. Two views. On the left side of your screen, you have the Dragon spacecraft docked to the International Space Station, and you just saw the lighting change a little bit. We are preparing to cross over that terminator line, the difference between day and night on the space station. Again, Dragon docking at 2:15 p.m. Central Time. And it's currently flying over the border between North and South Korea, 260 statute miles over Earth. The International Space Station travels 17,500 miles per hour. That's about 5 miles a second, and sees 16 sunrises and sunsets a day. And if you've been watching throughout the broadcast, you've probably noted a few of those. And on the right side of your screen, again, that is the interior of the Node 2 Zenith hatch. That's where Dragon is docked, just on the other side. NASA astronaut Chris Williams is pressurizing the vestibule, the small space between both the Dragon and the space station hatch. We are conducting leak checks as standard procedure. This helps us ensure that the pressure is equal in that space and is not caused by any temperature fluctuations. Once we have confirmation that the vestibule is pressurized, we will get into those hatch opening operations and we'll see our new crew members enter the space station. Now, as we continue with this vestibule pressurization and hatch opening operations, a little bit about the crew who just arrived on Crew-12 aboard SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft. Commander Jessica Meir spent a total of 205 days in space on her first space flight back in 2019. She was also part of the first all-female spacewalks with NASA astronaut Christina Cook. She holds a biology degree from Brown University. Next to her is the pilot, Jack Hathaway. He's making his first flight to space, and he is a Connecticut native. He earned a bachelor's degrees in physics and history from the U.S. Naval Academy. He has more than 2,500 flight hours in 30 types of aircraft, and he's flown 39 combat missions during several military operations. Serving as a mission specialist aboard Dragon is Sophie Adeno. She is representing the European Space Agency, also known as ESA. She's a French native and studied engineering and specialized in spacecraft and aircraft flight dynamics during undergraduate work in France and received her master's degree from MIT. This is also her first trip to space. Rounding out this crew is Roscosmos cosmonaut and mission specialist Andrei Fedyaev. As a major in the Russian Air Force, he has logged more than 500 hours in Russian aircraft, and it's his second flight to space. Back in 2023, he launched as a mission specialist as part of Crew-6, where he spent nearly 186 days aboard the International Space Station. Again, Crew-12 launching yesterday at 4:15 a.m. Central Time, making an approximately 34-hour rendezvous to the International Space Station and docking today, February 14th at 2:15 p.m. Central Time. We are in another satellite handover with the International Space Station and the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System. We will expect to regain those video communications, let's see, in about 5 minutes. Again, this view in Mission Control Houston at Johnson Space Center as all flight controllers continue to monitor systems aboard the International Space Station. 45 minutes now since the Crew-12 crew docked to the International Space Station aboard SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft. We are in the vestibule pressurization portion of the timeline. After that vestibule is pressurized, NASA astronaut Chris Williams will open the hatch on the space station side. The crew on the Dragon side will open their hatch, and we will welcome 4 new members to the International Space Station crew. We are celebrating 25 years of continuous presence on the International Space Station. While they are aboard the space station, Crew-12 will participate in more than 200 research and technology demonstrations. These include studies of pneumonia-causing bacteria to improve treatments, on-demand intravenous fluid generation for future space missions, automated plant health monitoring, investigations of plant and nitrogen-fixing microbe interactions that enhances food production in space, and research on how physical characteristics may affect blood flow during flight. The science that Crew-12 will conduct helps to directly advance research and technology for future Moon and Mars missions, but it also benefits humanity back on Earth. In that 25 years of continuous human presence on the space station, over 4,000 research investigations have been conducted. That includes work from over 5,000 researchers in 110 countries. During that time, we've seen 1.5 million pounds of cargo delivered to the space station, and in some of that includes 20,100 packages of food delivered. Those cargo resupply missions also provide those research experiments that the crews work on, as well as fuel for the International Space Station reboosts. On the right side of your screen, NASA astronaut Chris Williams. This is his first space flight. He launched last year on the Soyuz MS-28 rocket. As you can see him in that Node 2 Zenith hatch, he is checking the CTBs, or the cargo transfer bags. These are how items are stored aboard the International Space Station, and if you look closely, you can see they're each numbered, and each bag stores a different variety of items. We do have flight controllers here on the ground that track the location of every single item aboard the International Space Station, so that when a crew needs something, they know exactly where to tell them to look. Again, if you're just joining us, we had Crew-12 dock aboard their SpaceX Dragon spacecraft to the zenith or space-facing port on the International Space Station at 2:15 p.m. Central Time today, following an approximately 34-hour rendezvous after their launch yesterday morning at 4:15 a.m. Central Time. We are in the process of pressurizing the vestibule, that space between the Dragon and space station hatch. That was previously exposed to vacuum, so we have to introduce air from the space station side to make sure that the pressure equals out with both of these spacecraft. This process can take up to 2 hours. NASA astronaut Chris Williams is working this on the space station side. And we're standing by as they continue this process. We're expecting hatch opening at approximately 4 p.m. Central Time. We are in another satellite handover from the tracking data and relay satellite systems, and we expect to regain that communication shortly. This is Mission Control Houston and all of the flight controllers monitoring the mission today. The International Space Station and Dragon are currently flying approximately 259 statute miles over the North Pacific Ocean, west off the coast of California. They are at an orbital daytime, and you can see the International Space Station with your naked eye if you just know when to look. So if you look up Spot the Station on nasa.gov, you can type in your location and receive updates whenever the International Space Station will be visible to you at dawn or dusk.
SpaceX Dragon for suit drawing.
Go ahead for suit drawing.
Just letting you know we started an hour clock timer about 5 minutes ago.
All right, SpaceX copies on the big loop. Suit dry start time, I see that at about 21:08 UTC.
Okay.
Station, Houston on Space to Ground 2. Chris on the big loop for the hatch open.
Station's with you on Space to Ground 2.
Hey, Chris, whenever you're ready, we are ready now for you to execute procedure 2.102. That's Crew Dragon arrival, part 2. Step 3, go. We expect equalization to take 4 minutes.
Copy. Executing part 2 and go, and copy 4 minutes.
That call from Capcom, our capsule communicator Brandon Lesarge, here in Mission Control Houston at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, to NASA astronaut Chris Williams, living and working aboard the International Space Station. Williams is prime for the hatch operation procedures today, and Lesarge calling up that the vestibule leak check is complete.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to Ground. Can you confirm which suit you had the observation on the glove on?
Seat 4.
Copy.
And that call from the Corps in Hawthorne, the crew operations resource engineer, to the crew aboard Dragon, asking about a glove that the crew called down about earlier during suit leak checks.
Houston on the big loop. Wanted to pass you some big picture words on status. The vestibule leak check inside the station was good. The Node 2 Zenith hatch is open, and Chris is currently working on the rest of the procedure to open the APAS hatch.
Dragon copies. Chris is working on the APAS hatch. SpaceX Dragon on the group.
SpaceX on the big loop.
I'm looking at 4.400 as we're also finishing 4.012. I'm wondering if we can defer some of the actions due to time and the CAO event. What recommendation you have, like for example, the consolidation of all the water and food trash into large outer bags. Would you recommend skipping any of those steps for now?
SpaceX copies. At this time, we do recommend trying to complete all actions in 4.400, which we may be able to accomplish before we're able to step into hatch opening. So I would like to prioritize trying to accomplish sections 2 and 3, if possible.
Okay, we'll do that.
A lot of communications going to and from the International Space Station as well as to and from Dragon. The crew inside Dragon are working through procedures to stow everything and begin that egress or exit from their capsule and ingress or enter the International Space Station, which will be their new home for the next several months. We did hear that we have a good vestibule pressure leak check. So we continue to step through these procedures smoothly before we open up the hatches. We are in a satellite handover with the Tracking Data Relay Satellite Systems. This is Mission Control Houston at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where all the team members continue to monitor the arrival of Dragon and now these hatch opening operations. And if you're just joining us, it's been a little over an hour now since Crew-12 docked to the International Space Station. Again, that docking.
SpaceX is up on the big loop.
I'm just wondering, for that trash consolidation, is there another set of utensils in the downhill stuff? Are those utensils considered trash?
All right, SpaceX copies. There should be another set, but stand by one while I just confirm for you before I give you an affirmative.
Okay, we copy.
Now a view from both sides of the spacecraft that we are monitoring today. On the left, you have Dragon docked to the zenith or space-facing port of Node 2 on the International Space Station. On the right, you can see into that Node 2 hatch. Chris Williams, NASA astronaut on his first mission, has been pressurizing the vestibule, that space between the Dragon and space station hatch. We recently received word that they had a good leak check and that pressure is equal to the International Space Station. The crew aboard Dragon is working through some of their procedures, like configuring the cabin and collecting trash before they begin their journey into the International Space Station. That's timelined to happen at about 4 p.m. Central Time.
SpaceX Dragon, ready for the inventory.
SpaceX is ready to copy inventory, and I am still looking to confirm for the original question, which I will follow up on for utensils. But at this time, ready for inventory.
Sure. So for the inventory, water, bag number 2010, bag number 202, 0, bag number 203, 0, and bag number 204, 1.
copy for 201 through 203, all 0, and 204 is 1.
Yes, that's correct. And for food, bag number 301, 302, 301, 302, 0.
All right, SpaceX copies. 301, 302 are both 0 for food.
Affirm, and for food again, 304, 303, 1.
Copy 1 for 304 and 303.
That's good words. And for waste, 17 uses of urine collection.
SpaceX copies 17 for the waste system. For the water, does this include, we will be using 1 water bottle in section 3 of 4.400. So want to confirm if your previous inventory accounts for that, or if you will use that bottle that's remaining in 204 for the waste system flush.
That's a very good point. We will use the remaining of 204, and so all of the 4 bags, 201 through 204, will be remaining 0 after the procedure.
All right, core copies. We'll have 0 remaining for bags 201 through 204. And I can confirm that we do have additional utensils for the downhill in bags 306 and 308. So again, for utensils, we have utensils for the downhill, so you should be able to dispose of utensils from the uphill.
Copy.
Those voices were ESA astronaut Sophie Adeno and the SpaceX core in Hawthorne, California. Adeno was reporting all of the inventory that they used aboard Dragon during their 34-orbit rendezvous to the International Space Station. As previously mentioned, everything aboard the space station is meticulously tracked, and the same is true for Dragon. This view in the center of your screen is NASA astronaut Chris Williams working through the hatch opening process. First up on the list was vestibule pressurization, introducing air from the space station side into that small space between both the SpaceX Dragon and International Space Station hatch. That has been confirmed complete after good leak checks. Again, we had docking today at 2:15 p.m. Central, and we are expecting hatch opening at about 4 p.m. Central.
Dragon, this is Houston on the Big Loop. Wanted to let you know to stand by for hardline audio config. What this means is there will be about 2 to 3 minutes of audio outage while we make the configuration swap. Do you have any questions?
Dragon copies, we're standing by.
As you heard that call to the crew from Houston Mission Control to the crew aboard Dragon, we have been using the C2V2 Common Communications for Visiting Vehicles link. It's an audio loop. Also, we call it the Big Loop, that allows us to talk to all of the crew members in space aboard the orbiting International Space Station, as well as aboard the SpaceX Dragon, with Mission Control Houston and Mission Control in Hawthorne, all on the same loop. Once Dragon arrives to the space station, we reconfigure that loop so that we all have individual again.
Copy that, Chris. At the moment, we want to recommend just hanging tight for a little bit longer. Otherwise, it might take some force by using your feet on the side and that sort of thing. But recommend stand by another few minutes.
Copy. I'll stand by another few minutes, and then I can really give it some force.
Copy. And naturally, our inclination is to want to check to make sure that the APAS or the valve there is still open too.
Affirm. Valve is open and the rollers are retracted.
We copy. Thank you.
Communications between Jacob Lesarge, the Capcom here in Mission Control Houston, and NASA astronaut Chris Williams, you see on your screen, on the International Space Station with the vestibule pressurized. We are letting that level out before he attempts to open the APAS hatch. That helps make it a little bit easier to open that hatch. Requires a little less effort once that has leveled out with the pressure aboard the space station.
Dragon Houston on the Big Loop. Com check. Hardline audio reconfig is complete.
We've got you loud and clear on hardline.
We have you same. Sounds good.
NASA astronaut Chris Williams has opened the APAS hatch. That exposes the vestibule that he was previously pressurizing, and through that vestibule, is the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft with the awaiting 4 Crew-12 crew members.
Is with you on the big loop.
Again, they're docking coming at 2:15 p.m. Central today.
We've got all of it out and just temp stowed right now. Is this coming into station with us now? Or just leaving it temp stowed? Is that the plan?
Negative. I believe we will have something scheduled on the crew timeline for a waste transfer later, not immediately at hatch open. Okay, so that trash that we have in large outer bags should just kind of be temp stowed on Velcro, hanging out in the capsule for now. Affirm for now. We're not gonna transfer any waste yet. Okay, we copy, and just an FYI, we'll have to give you a slight update for water consumption and toilet use, flush count in a few minutes after we all finish with those up. Copy that. Yes, I was tracking that in section 3 for that updated count. And then I have a follow-up on the photos for the suit glove when ready to copy. Ready to copy. All right. If it is possible and they are accessible, it is allowed to airdrop the photos from the tablet to the SpaceX iPhones, which are in Dragon. We do have an app there where we can downlink media. However, if that is hard to get to right now, I'm going to say let's not do that at the moment, and we can look at another opportunity to downlink the photos later on after we have you guys in ISS, and we can get that scheduled. Copy, and if you want, we can even turn on a SpaceX phone and take the pictures directly with the SpaceX phone. Yeah, affirm. If that's easy to do right now, let's go ahead and take those photos with the phone, and then we'll look for a future opportunity to get those downlinked to us.
Sure, that's easy to do. We'll do it right now.
All right, thank you.
Houston, station on Space to Ground 1. APAS hatch is open and no condensation observed.
Copy, Chris. We understand the APAS hatch is open and understand you're not seeing any condensation. Just for awareness for future calls, we're going to put you to the big loop, if that's okay.
Copy that. Yep, switching to 2.
You got it.
That's NASA astronaut Chris Williams communicating with the Capcom here in Mission Control Houston, discussing the APAS hatch, and that is the hatch you see he just opened. One of the portions of their checklist is to check for any condensation on the hatch. Williams reported there was none, and so they are continuing to step through those procedures. He also heard some communications with the crew aboard Dragon and the core in Hawthorne, California. They are continuing to work through stowing the items they have been using in Dragon and preparing to open the hatch. Williams has just removed the docking target that's on the APAS hatch. This is what is used aboard a Dragon spacecraft when preparing to dock to the International Space Station.
Dragon SpaceX, over hardline. S-band will be deactivated shortly. Dragon to ground will no longer be available. Verify push-to-talk destinations are all set to ISS.
Dragon copies.
NASA astronaut Chris Williams stepping through the hatch opening procedures. He is installing the APAS hatch cover, having recently removed that docking target. Once this cover installation is complete, we will see Williams route some ducting through the hatch. That ducting will allow for hatch equalization and keep the atmosphere in the International Space Station side flowing through toward Dragon.
Houston, SpaceX. This is the space station on the Big Loop. We're complete through 4.9 of 2.102. Station is ready for Dragon hatch equalization.
Chris, Houston on the Big Loop. Dragon is still working on hatch equalization procedures. Expect another maybe 10 minutes until we're ready for equalization.
Station copies all. We're standing by.
As you can see, NASA astronaut Chris Williams has completed installing the ducts previously mentioned. These are intermodule ventilation ducts and help to perform that hatch equalization that was discussed. We expect that to start in about 10 minutes as the Dragon crew continues configuring their cabin. An hour and a half now since Crew-12 docked to the International Space Station at 2:15 p.m. Central Time. We are timelined to see hatch opening in around 4 p.m. Central. The International Space Station and Dragon are currently flying about 267 statute miles over the South Atlantic Ocean and just entering an orbital nighttime. This is Mission Control Houston. A view on your screen now of Sergei Mikhaev aboard the International Space Station, one of the two Sergeys living on the space station, joined by NASA astronaut Chris Williams. Williams has been working to configure hatch operations as we prepare to welcome Crew-12 aboard the orbiting laboratory. The crew aboard Dragon is still working through their checklist to ensure they're ready to enter the International Space Station, which will be their home for the next several months. This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to monitor the arrival of Crew-12 to the International Space Station, which will increase the number of people living and working on the orbiting laboratory from 3 to 7. That docking occurred today at 2:15 p.m. Central Time, following an on-time launch yesterday morning at 4:15 a.m. Central Time. That's an approximately 34-hour rendezvous where Dragon was making its way to the International Space Station, everything moving very smoothly for that on-time docking today. The crew aboard Dragon is continuing to step through their procedures as the International Space Station side is ready to begin opening the hatches once that's complete. We'll also hear a few words from the crew members during a welcoming ceremony shortly after they've arrived on board, so we hope you will stay tuned. We are currently in a satellite handover here in Mission Control Houston. We use the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system to communicate with the International Space Station. We continuously monitor when these handovers will take place, and we look forward to regaining communications with the space station shortly.
SpaceX Dragon for inventory.
SpaceX is ready to copy updated inventory.
We've got the waste system rinse running right now, so that'll be an additional 3 flushes, and there's no water remaining from location 11 and 12.
All right, SpaceX copies. Additional 3, so that puts what I count up to 20 uses for the system, and that puts us down to 0 remaining in bag 204. So zeros across the board for the waters.
Affirm.
And Dragon SpaceX for additional follow-up. Looking to get in sync with where you are in 4.400. Are we complete through section 2 with section 3 now in progress for the waste system flush, or are we complete up until the waste system flush, which is in progress now?
We are complete all the way through 3.2. 3.2 is in process right now.
All right, SpaceX copies. For awareness, when you do step into section 4, so when you've completed all remaining actions in section 3, we have already gotten the call in 4.1. So we'll just be looking for your readiness for hatch equalization when you get into section 4. How copy?
Okay, we copy. Looking for our call in section 4.
All right, SpaceX copies. Thank you. Yeah, that's the contact SpaceX instruction in 4.1.
Okay, we copy. We have the go in 4.1, and we still have the suit drying timer going as well, but I assume that we can continue into step 4, 4.400, even though we haven't closed out 4.012.
Affirm. We'll go ahead and start stepping through section 4 while the suits continue to dry.
I can copy.
A lot of communication between the core in Hawthorne, California at SpaceX headquarters and SpaceX Mission Control with the crew aboard Dragon as they prepare to open the hatch and join the crew aboard the International Space Station. Just confirmed that they have doffed their suits and are drying those. They've had an opportunity to change before they enter the space station. In this view, you see Sergei Mikhaev and Sergei Kutsverchkov, both of Roscosmos, and at the bottom of the screen, NASA's Chris Williams, who has been prime for bringing the Crew-12 crew into the International Space Station today. These 3 have been living and working aboard the space station since their launch on Soyuz MS-28 last year, and they have been the only 3 on the station since Crew-11's departure last month. The time zone used aboard the International Space Station is GMT, and it is just past the 10 o'clock hour at this time.
SpaceX Dragon.
SpaceX is ready to copy.
With you in 4.1.
All right, SpaceX copies. The ISS crew has reported that they're ready for Dragon hatch equalization. Can you confirm that Dragon is ready for hatch equalization?
Affirm, we are ready.
SpaceX copies. We are taking that action now.
Station and Dragon, stand by for equalization. It is expected to take 4 minutes.
We heard those communications from the Corps in Hawthorne to the crew aboard Dragon, that is Crew-12, confirmation that they are ready to begin hatch opening operations. Again, this view of Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Kudzverchkov on the left, NASA's Chris Williams in the middle, and Sergei Mikhaev on the right. That's the current crew of Expedition 74 that are being joined by Crew-12 and bring the total of people living and working on the space station up to 7. As you can see, it appears that they are looking up. That's the direction toward the Node 2 Zenith, or space-facing port. Node 2 Zenith is where Crew-12 docked today, and that coming almost 2 hours ago, 2:15 p.m. Central Time.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for your go that I can remove the current video director override phase that's had been set to exterior only, if I can bring it back in on board.
Affirm, you've got our go.
As you can see, these three are pretty clearly excited to document their new crew members joining them. Already getting some waves through that docking hatch window before the hatch is actually opened.
Dragon SpaceX, we are back on board with cameras.
Hello.
Currently, the teams are allowing some time for the pressure in the Dragon cabin to equal out with the pressure that's currently in the vestibule. Once those are equaled out, we will see them open that hatch and join Expedition 74. And on the left side of your screen, the inside of the Dragon spacecraft, where Crew-12 is preparing to exit and join the other Expedition 74 crew members on the space station side. As you can see, they've had time to get out of their suits and start to dry those out. This is what they do after having worn them on the ride uphill. They've also been working inside the cabin to make sure everything is properly stowed for their long-duration mission on the space station. the view from inside Dragon now showing you the view from the pilot and commander seats. Of course, they are no longer in those spacesuits, but you can see Sophie Adano and Andrei Fedyaev down towards the lower portion of Dragon. And another view of those screens. Those are the screens that the crew uses to monitor during the flight to the space station.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop for hatch open. You are go for hatch opening per the decal, followed by the remaining actions in procedure 4.400. After 4.400 is complete, transition to NASA procedure 2.102.
Okay, we copy that. We're go for 4.4. We'll finish out step 4 and go into 2.102. And can you confirm we should complete all those steps? Is that going to be before the PAO event, or will we do the PAO event and come back to do that?
Yep. SpaceX copies. Good question. We're going to complete the 2.102 steps prior to the PAO.
Copy.
And on the left side of your screen, you see the crew members beginning to open the Dragon hatch. And on the right side of your screen, you see 3 excited crew members ready to welcome them. The Dragon hatch is open at 4:14 p.m. Central Time.
SpaceX Dragon, the hatch is open.
SpaceX copies. We see hatch open. Welcome to ISS.
As you heard the crew discussing with the Corps in California, they are checking.
We're so excited to be here.
They will continue to step through some procedures before we get into the welcoming ceremony.
Houston, Dragon.
Dragon, Houston's with you on 2. Go ahead.
IMV duct installation is complete. We're go for IMV fan activation.
Houston copies. Understand we are go for IMV fan activation.
As you heard Jessica Meir report that the duct installation is complete, we previously saw Chris Williams routing this to Dragon. This allows for IMV, or intermodule ventilation.
And Houston Dragon, we're looking for your go in 6.3.
Hey, Jessica. Houston's with you on 2. You have our go in step 6.3 for location 23.
This is Mission Control Houston. The hatch on the Dragon side of the Dragon being docked to the International Space Station was opened at 4:14 p.m. Central Time. Coming almost 2 hours after docking at 2:15 p.m. Central Time, the crew continues to step through procedures inside Dragon before floating through the hatch and into the International Space Station.
SpaceX Dragon, LIO cartridge is sealed and installed.
All right, SpaceX copies for LIO cartridge sealed. Good news.
station. Houston on 1 for Chris and PAO event.
With you on 1.
Hey Chris, let us know. But we were just talking, and if you guys need a few extra minutes prior to starting the PAO event from the nominally scheduled time, just let us know.
Copy, Wilco. We're all good here. We'll see how the Dragon crew is getting along, and I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Just for your awareness, it's no problem if we need to delay a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for that.
The PAO event, you hear NASA astronaut Chris Williams discussing with Jacob Lesarge, the Capcom here in Mission Control Houston, is the welcoming ceremony. So we hope that you'll all stay tuned to hear words from the Crew-12 crew members as they join Expedition 74 aboard the International Space Station. We are in a satellite handover with the tracking and data relay satellite system from the International Space Station control room and the space station. We'll expect to regain those communications with the space station very shortly. As we have discussed, Crew-12 arrived at the station docking at 2:15 p.m. Central Time today. Hatch opening of Dragon occurred just moments ago at 4:14 p.m. Central Time. The Dragon crew has not yet entered the International Space Station. They are continuing some procedures inside the spacecraft as they prepare to be docked for an extended period of time and complete their mission on the space station. Once the crew floats through the hatch, they will be joining 3 members of Expedition 74. It's NASA's Chris Williams and Roscosmos' Sergei Mikhailov and Sergei Kudzverchkov. That'll bring the total crew on the International Space Station up to 7. Following their entrance of the International Space Station, we will also have an opportunity for them to provide some welcome remarks, some thoughts on their flight, and what they're excited for now that they are on the orbiting laboratory. Obviously, you can see we've regained those communications, views, and audio from the space station and from Dragon. On the left side of your screen, you can see the Dragon crew continuing to work through their procedures before they enter the space station. They are not in their suits. They took those off shortly after docking. This allows them time for the suits to dry out. They won't wear these again until they prepare to board Dragon and complete their journey on the space station by coming back to Earth. Again, this is a long-duration mission. Approximately 8 months long, they'll be living and working on the orbiting laboratory. Currently most visible in Dragon.
Configuration is complete.
SpaceX copies. That's complete through Part C of docking procedure.
And SpaceX Dragon, we will proceed into ISS and come back to finish the last step of the suit stuff. That works for you guys?
SpaceX copies. No concerns. We'll track the last step open for 4.012, and we can follow that up on that later.
Stay firm. Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful ride.
It was our pleasure, Jessica. Have a good stay there, Crew-12.
We are standing by for Crew-12 to enter the International Space Station. First through the hatch is ESA astronaut Sophie Adeno on her first trip to space. Adeno is followed by another first-time flyer, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. Roscosmos Andrei Fedyaev is next to join the Expedition 74 crew on the space station, and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir makes her return to the space station as well. We have lots of hugs in microgravity as the International Space Station is back up to 7 crew members.
Houston, station on 1 for the PAO event.
Station, Houston is with you on 1. Go ahead.
Yeah, we are ready to get configured for that and just knock that out if it's good for you guys. Just give us 2 seconds to get the mic up and we'll do a quick voice check.
Houston copies. We'll plan for an on-time start. I'll make a call in about 60 seconds if you're good with that. And
works for us.
Cool. Just for your awareness, I'll be coming up on Space Ground 2.
There's Crew-12. Now all 4 members of Expedition 74 aboard the International Space Station.
Expedition 74, this is Houston. Would you please give us a voice check? Currently, we're not hearing anything through the mic.
Check 111.
Okay, Houston copies. That's a good voice check. Standby 1. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station on 1, and we're ready to say welcome to Crew-12. today, and we are happy they all arrived safe and sound. And we've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. So we're really happy and proud to work as a team here. So let me pass the mic to Jessica.
Thank you so much. It is so wonderful to be back up here for me and Andre, but really we're so excited for Jack and for Sophie for their first trip here to the International Space Station. I think you look around the crew up here and it's really a testament to everything that we do. We have so many countries represented, so many backgrounds, so many disciplines, and we are so excited to be here and to get to work with Expedition 74. Sending big hugs and love to Svea and all my family and friends. We did it. We're here. We love you. Over to Jack.
Thanks, Jessica. I don't even know how to describe what it's like to be up here. You just float in, and it's just such a cool experience. It's been a great trip with my great Crew-12 friends. I'm so excited to join Expedition 74, see my classmate again. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to pass over to Sophie.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, well, I would say that was quite a ride, but very fun. It was also great to have the help of Jessica and Andre, two experienced. They are very generous in sharing all of the advice for us, so very grateful for them. The first time we looked at the Earth was, wow, mind-blowing. The Earth is so beautiful from up there. And literally, we see no lines, no borders. And it was, yeah, a very big moment for us, Jack and me, to see that for the first time. So we're happy to share it with you in the future events. Over to Andre.
Я скажу по-русски. Всем большой-большой привет. Очень рад, на самом деле, быть здесь опять, чувствовать этот ни с чем запах, запах МКС, который ни с чем невозможно перепутать. Большое спасибо команде SpaceX. Большое спасибо всем тем, кто провожал наш экипаж в Хьюстоне, потом в центре Кеннеди. Отдельное спасибо всем тем, кто занимался моей семьей и именно провожал меня. Family support, Kelly, thank you so much. I know this very hard job for you, but you do it very well and excellent. So thank you so much for my mom, for my wife, for my kids. Сергей Прокопьев, тебе тоже большое, огромное спасибо отдельное за мою маму, да, за то, что ты с ней очень много времени провел. Большое спасибо, искренне тебе. И также ребята, кто меня провожал, тоже вам большой привет. Саша, Татьяна. Увидимся через какое-то время. Ну, а команда, та большая команда, которая занимается, работает с Международной космической станцией. Все те люди, которые обеспечивают ее работу, помогают нам выполнять здесь различные задачи. Вам большой привет. Ну, будем работать. У нас впереди целых 2 экспедиции получается. Who is next?
Some words?
Thank you to all the teams all around the world. We are so excited to be here. And let's get rolling with Expedition 74.
Thank you to all participants in Expedition 74. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
Enjoy it. But not too fast.
Don't rush.
I wanted to see if I still had it.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
back
good.
for my first go back.
Yeah. You know, I had.
Seven smiling faces aboard the International Space Station now that we have all of our crew members aboard. Again, some really happy words from our newest members, that is Crew-12, that arrived at the space station at 2:15 p.m. Central Time. Hatches between Dragon and the space station opening at 4:14 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for joining us today for Crew-12's arrival to the space station. After launching at 5:15 a.m. Eastern yesterday morning, Friday the 13th, the space station got a sweet Valentine today with their docking at 2:15 p.m. Central. This crew will work on integrating into daily life aboard the orbiting lab, which has additional operations coming up. Those include the departure of SpaceX's 33rd commercial resupply mission, followed by departure of JAXA's HTV-X as well. Later this spring, we'll see a couple of spacewalks, so check nasa.gov for the latest updates. Of course, we're also gearing up for the Artemis II launch to send humans around the moon, with March as the earliest potential launch window. It's obviously an exciting time for NASA. We really hope you follow along. Happy Valentine's Day, and this is Mission Control Houston.
So, about 8 months ago, me and my brother built a tiny house.
This is our tiny house.
And although the house looked great, here's how the video ended. The house is empty.